You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Oh yeah, baby, that's lovely.
Good morning, it's February the 19th, and welcome to Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News, your psychedelics and cannabis news source. Good morning, Rev Cindy. How you doing?
Good. How are you doing, Al?
I'm actually doing pretty good this morning because I figured I was going to be spending part of today shoveling snow. And instead, I looked outside, and I think we got one layer of snowflake, like basically nothing.
Wow. Yeah, I've been keeping an eye on the weather out in Ontario, of course, because I head out tomorrow to do medicine on Saturday and then do some Cindy time, which I'm pretty excited about, all of it. And, you know, yesterday it was supposed to be an ice storm in Toronto.
Yes, there was. And we were supposed to get a pile of snow here where I am. And like I said, there wasn't any. But I saw on the news that it did rain in Toronto.
Yes. And there was a little bit of freezing rain that happened, but it happened with then the warmer weather hit right after. It didn't happen for very long with rain. So it washed away whatever ice stuck from that freezing rain, which was good. I'm going out today and I'm buying myself, you know, those ice things for the bottoms of your sneakers and whatnot. Because of my injury, I can still only wear my sneakers. Right. So I'm going to go get those things to carry them in my purse to stick on the bottom of my sneakers just in case.
Little traction. Okay, so today we got 8 stories, including 2 that we're going to label as reefer madness. So you're going to have to stick around for them. But we got some news coming from Canada and around the world today. So Cindy, what do you say? Time to get going at it?
We get going, yeah.
Okay.
The first story is coming to us today from StratCan. Look at that pile. It says the RCMP shares blunt truth about organized crime and the Canadian cannabis market. Tonight, we turn to a candid assessment from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police about the state of organized crime in the legal cannabis market. According to StratCan, the RCMP has openly acknowledged that while legalization has significantly disrupted criminal networks, illegal activity continues to evolve. And law enforcement isn't under any illusions about how sophisticated those networks have become. In a public address, the RCMP officials said, organized crime doesn't disappear the day, or didn't disappear the day cannabis was legalized. It adapted. That's a blunt truth. I love that pun, by the way, blunt truth, that challenges both critics and supporters of legalization who may have expected prohibition-era gangs to simply vanish. Instead, criminal groups have shifted tactics, diversifying into synthetic cannabinoids, fentanyl, and smuggling. Interesting, while still finding ways to undercut the regulated market. The RCMP highlighted that illegal sellers often compete on price and accessibility, especially where legal products are taxed heavily or scarce. One officer noted, consumers can go down the street and buy an unregulated product for a fraction of the price, underscoring how market conditions themselves can empower illicit sellers. Just a little personal note on that. I like to say that, I've watched both markets over the years. I shop both in the Indigenous market illicit market and in the legal market. And the prices have actually almost leveled out. I find the big differences between the Indigenous here in Nova Scotia and the legal markets are come in edible form, whereas we can only buy a certain strength in the legal market. And for those of us who use it medicinally and have and need the stronger strengths, we can only get that in the Indigenous market. The story continues to go on, but the message wasn't all pessimism. By the way, the RCMP pointed to enforcement successes and growing cooperation with provincial partners, noting that regulatory compliance and better consumer education are key to shrinking the illicit markets over time. The legal industry has made great strides, said one spokesperson, but if we don't continue to tighten gaps in enforcement and policy, organized crime will keep filling them. The article frames legalization not as a victory parade, but an ongoing campaign, one that requires smart policy, vigilant policing, and continued public support for regulated access, as well as Al, not necessarily stated here, but also working with the Indigenous of Canada, as you know, the Indigenous here in Nova Scotia, as we have reported on previously in previous shows, are trying to create their own market and work with provincial and federal governments.
Yeah, I don't. When I look at the cannabis markets, I don't look at the Indigenous market as being a illegal or illicit market or anything along that line. It's one of three options that we have here in Canada, and there's been a big dent in the illicit market, but people are still bootlegging alcohol 100 years after it's been made illegal.
It'll never change. There will always be that illicit or illegal market. I agree with you that the Indigenous market, from the legal point of view, where this article was written, there's two sides, and the Indigenous goes on the illicit side. But the Indigenous, like I said, we've reported on it a couple of times. And here in Nova Scotia, the chiefs are banding, and they're trying to create reform and laws and work with the governments to be able to have the Indigenous market. My fingers are crossed that that'll break it into three in the eyes of the law. Yeah,
hopefully, and they can continue on to operate. So it's helping, doing a lot of good on the reserves, and should be able to continue to do so. All right, from that story, we move on to our second story of the day, and this one also comes to us from StratCan. Headline there says, Canadian industry healthcare providers split on regulations for CBD as a natural health product. It says that Health Canada's latest What We Heard report on regulating CBD as a natural health product highlights both numerous areas of agreement and deep divisions on the topic among stakeholders, including industry, healthcare professionals, and provincial governments. The report once again includes no concrete path forward for any such changes. Instead, the report summarizes feedback from stakeholders on the Federal Health Regulatory's exploratory discussion paper. It was called Towards the Pathway for Health Products Containing Cannabidiol. Now, it was first shared in 2025. Now, the consultation examined the potential path for CBD to be regulated as a natural health product. The agency has been exploring the topic since 2018. Now, a central theme of the opposition to the proposals was the cannabis drug license. Now, the vast majority of respondents strongly opposed requiring a CDL for the natural health products, arguing that the existing natural health product framework is more than sufficient for a low-risk, non-psychoactive substance like CBD. Now, opponents were concerned that layering a CDL onto the existing system would create excessive regulatory complexity, unnecessary increased costs, and ultimately stifle innovation, especially for small and medium-sized producers. While there was a strong consensus for mandatory certificates of analysis to verify cannabinoid content and screen for contaminants, industry largely opposed additional good measuring practices, viewing them as duplicative of existing standards, whereas healthcare providers and provincial governments supported new GMPs for raw materials to ensure product consistency and public trust. Now, many industry respondents also opposed a mandatory CBD warning on the product packaging, fearing it would stigmatize a low-risk product. Conversely, healthcare providers and academics largely supported a clear, prominent warning to ensure consumer transparency. Now, for location of these retail CBD sales, the overall majority supported sales in the same locations as other natural health products, such as pharmacies, health food stores, online, etc. Now, opposing restrictions to cannabis-only retailers. Now, a common recommendation was a tiered risk-based sales model with low-dose products available over the counter and high-dose products restricted to behind the pharmacy counter with pharmacist consultation. Now, the majority of the respondents to the survey also felt that additional physical and personal security controls, like those under the Cannabis Act, would be out of step with the low-risk CBD products. Now, Cindy, I don't know if we're ever going to get an answer on this or whether it's ever going to come forward, but we've covered this twice in the last week now, and it just doesn't look good that CBD products are going to end up on the shelves at the pharmacy.
It would be nice for it all to end up on the shelves at the pharmacists. It's like, give it all medical standings, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah, there's that thing again, Health Canada. If they don't even recognize it as medical use, maybe this wouldn't be such of a problem. Getting it into these other stores makes it accessible for people. Not everybody wants to go into a cannabis store, and yet again, the problem becomes you can't talk to the bud tenders.
Yeah, one thing I've noticed though, in a lot of, I see it in a lot of beauty products these days. There's a lot of beauty products on regular shelves that have CBD added, or face oils. There's a lot of hemp products out there, and you see a lot of stuff coming from hemp seed to try to get around the laws. And it's a freaking plant already. I mean, I'm sorry, I keep going back there. It's a freaking plant already. It's CBD. It's not psychoactive.
People aren't heating hand lotion to get high. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All righty. You're up.
Yeah, I'm up. Okay. Well, the next story is coming to us from the Bay Observer. Getting silly over psilocybin. Police playing whack-a-mole with magic mushroom shops. I just loved the title of this story and just wanted to read it live on air. I'm so happy and feel completely satisfied and fulfilled now. Thank you. In Nova Scotia, local police have found themselves in what one columnist describes as a kind of parodic game of whack-a-mole, chasing down unlicensed magic mushroom retailers as they pop up across the province. According to the Bay Observer, officials are frustrated by the proliferation of shops selling psilocybin products outside regulated frameworks, and communities are raising questions about how enforcement should work in a landscape that's shifting beneath their feet. The article notes that despite psilocybin being illegal, except under specific exemptions, the SAP program or Section 56, or clinical trials, storefronts have been opening in multiple towns. Police in one community told local media they felt like they were running around trying to shut down one location only to see two more open up. It's a vivid image that captures the challenge of balancing enforcement with limited resources, especially as public attitudes towards psychedelics soften incredibly. Critics of the current policing approach argue that focusing on these small operations may not be the best use of law enforcement energy, especially when larger drug issues, including opiates and fentanyl, are an ongoing public health crisis. One commenter said, "It feels like we are policing mushrooms while people are struggling with deadly substances on the street." At the same time, some community members expressed genuine concern about unregulated products being sold to consumers with no safety information, quality standards, or oversight. The article points out the tension between public health objectives and criminal enforcement in a wider environment where psychedelics are beginning to be explored for therapeutic use in clinical settings. As the debate continues, and it's a very similar one, we've had it with cannabis, the story captures a moment in time where law, policy, community values, and changing norms around psychedelics are colliding, sometimes with more questions than clear answers. And Al, I don't know about you, but I'm getting deja vu from very early cannabis days.
Oh yes, for sure. This is, at one time we were hearing about it all the time about these stores. Then it went a little quiet, and now it's coming up again. More and more of these stores are being raided, and I look at it as these stores are functioning. They're obviously making money. People are purchasing the products because they work for them. People are voting with their money.
Yep.
Maybe the government should look into this as far as along the cannabis end of things, right? And the thing behind it is that you don't have that fear of smoke, because smoking was always a big concern about the cannabis.
Exactly. We don't have to worry about the scent or anything or offending people with that. I mean, if I laugh too loud, maybe, but.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully at some point the government will move on that. I'm not hearing anything.
There are a couple things going on in the courts right now that if the people decide to take it further, with their complaints or with their cases. I mean, Alison Mearden comes to mind. This can go all the way to the Supreme Court of Canada, just like cannabis did, and laws can change. And I'm excited to watch the story unfold.
Yeah, it takes someone to fight back all the way through the system, for sure. All right, time for us to move on to our last story of this first half.
Al got a little ahead of himself for a second.
That's right. All right, here we go. This one is coming to us from Marijuana Moment. And as you can see, the headline there says, Justice Department should take about 20 years to reschedule cannabis, GOP congressman says. 20 years? The Justice Department should take about 20 years to finish the cannabis rescheduling process. A GOP congressman who staunchly opposes cannabis reform tells Marijuana Moment. With the proposal to move marijuana from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 of the Controlled Substances Act and still pending, it hasn't been done, folks, it's still pending, Rep. Andy Harris is in no rush to have the DOJ see the process through, despite the president's executive order in December directing the Attorney General to quickly finalize the rule. Well, it's been 2 months now. That's not too quick in my mind. Now, lastly, I looked, it hasn't been rescheduled, he says. The president said to look into it. Harris said this in an interview on Thursday, adding that he hasn't directly communicated with the Justice Department about the issue, but that everybody understands what I want it to look like. Not at all, I would believe. Now, the Justice Department should take about 20 years, as I said, and I see I've duplicated some information here. Now, the prohibitionist congressman has said he isn't sure if the internal disagreements with the DOJ are to blame for the delayed rescheduling action, but the wheels grinding at a little slowly around here sometimes, he says. Now, on this one, they should take, as I mentioned, 20 years to the grind, he says. Now, in December, Harris separately said Trump doesn't have the authority to unilaterally reschedule cannabis via an executive order. But while lawmakers could overrule any administrative move to enact the reform, it would be a heavy lift in the Republican-controlled Congress, he has acknowledged. Well, Cindy, I don't know about you, but this is just getting old. And now 20 years. This guy wants 20 years. Does he sound like somebody who's going to be in the good end of all this? No.
I'm not sure. I've got something going on over here. The cats are into something, and I just hear some banging. 20 years.
20 years.
Even just seeing the headline just made me.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you say to that? 20 years. Like you guys will be out of government for 17.
Yeah, who knows? And the executive order signed in December. Now we're at the end of February, almost. So yeah, it's been 2 months. Nothing's been done. All we're hearing feedback is that on the negative end, when it's coming to a lot of the Republicans. I was talking to a couple of friends of mine in the U.S. and they've put their hands in the air. They don't know what's going on.
Nobody does.
Nobody does. I know. So.
But maybe that's the plan of the government. Keep everybody confused.
Could be. Who knows? But we'll keep an eye on it. And we hear anything good, we hear anything bad, whatever it is, we'll make sure that we bring it to our viewers and our listeners so they are well aware of what's going on. But other than that, Cindy, it is time for us to take a break. Time for us to let everybody know who makes our voices louder. You're watching Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News here at paceradio.net and 420pace.ca.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
Are you looking to get your medical cannabis grow license? Limestone City Hydroponics can help patients through the process of obtaining their license to grow medical cannabis. What's that? You don't have a doctor. If you meet the medical criteria, Limestone City Hydroponics has a nurse practitioner who can assess and provide medical cannabis prescriptions. What are you waiting for? Contact Limestone City Hydroponics at limestonecityhydroponics.ca or call them at 613-548-0420.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Rerolled Saturdays. Check it out. Nothing but non-stop cannabis and psychedelic programming. Find it at 420pace.ca.
That way.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Hey, we're back. We're live. We're Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News. And I see, Cindy, we've got a message over break. This comes to us from Catherine. She says, thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Have a good day yourself.
You have a good day yourself as well. I see you've got the cat on the lap again.
The cat is back. Yes.
Yeah.
Either that or he's going to keep hitting me, right?
Exactly. All righty. We got 4 more stories to cover, including those 2 reefer madness stories that we got coming up.
Those should be fun.
Yeah, it should be. Okay.
Next up is coming to us from Educational News Center. The University of Ottawa launches the French language psychedelic and consciousness degree. This is really exciting. It's exciting that it was out there in English, but now being out there in both of our national languages is just super exciting. In a first for Canadian higher education, the University of Ottawa has launched a French language degree program dedicated to the study of psychedelics and consciousness. And it's already drawing attention to its breadth and ambition. According to Education News Canada, the program is designed to explore the science, history, culture, philosophy, and ethics of psychedelic substances, from psilocybin and LSD to ayahuasca and beyond. The curriculum includes courses of neurobiology, clinical research methods, Indigenous knowledge systems, and social policy, a mix that reflects how multifaceted this field has become. The university's announcement states that students will examine how altered states of consciousness have shaped cultures, belief systems, and scientific inquiry throughout history. Program leaders emphasize that it's not a fringe study or trippy experience, but a serious academic pursuit. One faculty member is quoted saying, "We are training the next generation of researchers, clinicians, and policymakers to understand these substances in their cultural and scientific context, not just as headlines." The article also highlights that the degree is part of a response of growing interest in psychedelic research worldwide, especially in areas like mental health, trauma therapy, and neurological conditions. Offering the program in French fills a gap in the francophone academic world and signals Canada's growing role in global psychedelic scholarship. I agree. Students and faculty alike describe the program as forward-looking and necessary, pointing out that traditional academic disciplines have historically siloed the study of consciousness, religion, neuroscience, and pharmacology, while psychedelics sit in the intersection of all of them. It's a bold experiment in higher education. I love that pun. One that reflects shifting cultural landscapes around psychedelics and willingness to treat their study with intellectual rigor. I don't know about you, Al, but I'm excited.
Oh, yeah, this is great news. Anytime you can get a degree on the end of psychedelics, we're still trying to get degrees and stuff on the cannabis end of things, as far as universities and stuff, and getting it in psychedelics, and now it's being done in French as well.
It sounds like it's an incredible program that's been offered in English for a bit, and it's exciting to see it offered in both of our national languages. And it's just like it says, it's not just affecting people like therapists or doctors or people like myself, facilitators. It's affecting policymakers and educating our future policymakers, and I think that's super important.
Exactly, because they'll be educated. They'll more on this information and knowledge will come out, and that can change the laws for sure, as we mentioned. Maybe some mushroom laws. So. All right, good news from there. All right, from that, we're going to move on to a story that is coming to us from the Green State. Headline there says, cannabis legalization in teen use. What 30 years of data shows. Now, a common argument from anti-cannabis advocates is that legalization could lead to more minors using the plant. While news reports about the youth becoming sick after consuming THC-infused gummies continue to circulate, cases are still relatively rare. Data shows that teen cannabis use continues to decline, even as more states legalize, and a new study adds to the evidence. The findings, published in the journal Addictive Behaviors, shows cannabis use among adolescents has steadily declined since peaking in 1999. Researchers analyzed data from the 1991 to 2023 Youth Risk Behavior Study, a biannual school-based survey that relies on self-reported responses and roughly 254,000 high school students. In 1999, 47% of respondents said that they had tried cannabis at least once. By 2023, that number had dropped to about 30%. Recent use has also declined. In 1999, about 27 respondents reported using cannabis within the past 30 days. By 2023, that figure had dropped to just under 18%. The number of people who started using cannabis at an early age also decreased significantly, falling from roughly 12% in 1999 to about 6.5% in 2023. That's half. Now, the findings align with the other studies that have found no increase, and in some cases, a decrease in teen cannabis use following legalization. A 2024 government analysis showed cannabis use among adolescents fell by roughly 20% since 2014. Now, a 2017 study showed teen cannabis consumption decreasing in states with legal cannabis. Supporters of legalization argue that regulation promotes safer access for adults and reduces the likelihood that cannabis ends up in the hands of minors. Now, recent research from Canada which has legalized cannabis, nationwide since 2018, found that more use reported it was more difficult to obtain cannabis if they wanted to, supporting that theory. There you go, Cindy. Teens are now reporting it's harder for them to get cannabis than it was when we were younger.
You know what? I get that straight up. And you want to know why I get that? Because even the, quote unquote, illegal shops, which we know are like the indigenous or the legacy or the gray area markets, those are that's where yesterday's dealers have, opened up shop, to compete with the legal shops that have these beautiful storefronts and all of this stuff. Dispensaries have opened up, and it's taken dealers off the street. And it's also made people more conscious about, asking for age, because we all realize, like as much as, we've been trying to educate others, we've also had to educate ourselves. Yeah. And I say that because, I was one of those people that sold cannabis like a long time ago as weed, as hiding in the back alley. I was one of those people, and I eventually graduated to working in a dispensary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So I get that. And the dispensaries, they have their doors closed. They check for IDs even harder than the legal stores.
Yeah. And being that the money isn't as much in the cannabis on the illicit end of things, prices have all dropped down. At one time it was $250 for an ounce. Right. You can get it for a lot less than that these days. And the money's not there. So, less people are selling it.
Yeah. Cause I sold it obviously to make money, to have my own, it was when I was in heavy addiction and, so it was just to pay for my own and, things, it just, you can't do that anymore. The amount that somebody would have to sell on the street to pay for their own cannabis is stupid.
Yeah.
And you can't compete with the prices of the big guys. It's like, that's why when Walmart walked in, like a lot of small businesses shut down. It's the same idea, just on a different level.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks for the thumbs up there, Pickle Chicken. I believe that's who gave it to us. Yeah. Pickle Chicken is what it says.
Love it.
All righty. On to the next story we go.
On to the next. Oh, this is me. Yeah,
Yes,
on to the next story
Reefer
we go.
Madness.
We're
Reefer
heading into the
Madness
reefer madness moment. Look, I was already in the madness moment. Woo! On to the next story, coming to us from cannabis.net. The Fox News reefer madness moment when a combat veteran schooled the hypocrites. Yes. Again, it was just, I saw the headline and it hit my heart. Then I read it and I loved the article. Last night, or the other night, a moment of national media pushback went viral, and it came from an unexpected source. Cannabis.net reports on a televised confrontation in which a combat veteran confronted commentators on a major cable news network about the network's portrayal of cannabis policy. The segment began with a predictable reefer madness style warning about cannabis legalization, fears of chaos on the streets, impaired driving, social collapse. But when the veteran, who had served multiple tours overseas, was invited to respond, the narrative took an abrupt turn. He was quoted saying, "I saw fear in the face of my platoon more times than I have ever felt from cannabis." This line shut down the panel and quickly spread online. The veteran went on to challenge the network's fear-based framing, pointing out the contradictions in how other substances like opioids and or alcohol are discussed in the same breathless tone. What's dangerous, he argued, is not a plant. It's a policy that leaves people behind with no safe option and no support. The article frames his response as both heartfelt and strategic, a powerful example of how the lived experience can cut through the rhetoric. Commenters on social media praised his calm logic and his rhetorical posture, calling it a much needed reality check. Heck to the yeah on that. Whether you agree or disagree with his position, the veteran's intervention sparked a broader conversation about how cannabis is framed in mainstream media, and whether some outlets will still rely on outdated topics and madness rather than evidence-based reporting. What do you think, Al?
Yeah, reefer madness. It sucks. Like, scroll the headline up, because we can't see the headline, and look at the picture. Look at the guys. Wow.
Yeah. And if you go and read the whole article, the quotes that are coming from the veteran are very colorful and very heartfelt. I highly recommend going to read it. Beautifully written, and this veteran has my heart, as well as any cannabis activist or advocate's heart. He really stood up on Fox and gave a what for, and it was pretty incredible.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. It's good for him to speak up. Need more of that. That's for sure. So, and there's lots of groups doing that, speaking up. Veteran groups. There's one that airs here every Sunday night at 8:00. Back. Veterans Action Council Roundtable. Catch it then. All right. On to our next story, which is yet again another reefer madness headline going on here. When I saw it, Cindy, I thought, what? Come on. So here we go. It's coming to us from Marijuana Moment. And the headline, as you see, says, Arizona senators take up bills to criminalize excessive marijuana smoke even on private property. Arizona lawmakers are considering a pair of measures that would make the act of creating excessive amounts of cannabis smoke a nuance crime. Punishment by jail time. Correct. Jail time. Even if the person is using cannabis in compliance with the state law in their homes. They want to charge you. You want to put you in jail for making big clouds in your jail. Now, Senator J.D. Mesnard is sponsoring the two proposals, one that would amend state statute legislatively that would put the issue before voters at the ballot. Members of the Senate Judiciary and Elections Committee are set to consider the proposals this week. Now, the lawmaker said he decided to push the issue due to the smell of cannabis in his own neighborhood. Both versions of Mesnard's legislation stipulate that it is presumed that a person who creates excessive cannabis smoke and odor causes a condition that endangers the safety and health of others. The reason behind having both a proposed law and a resolution is related to the potential legal challenges of lawmakers changing the voter-approved cannabis legalization law. The legislation would establish a presumption that the creation of excessive cannabis smoke and odor is injurious and health, indecent, offensive to the senses, and an obstruction to the free use of property that interferes with the comfortable enjoyment of life or property. Correct. That's what it says, people. A summary of the proposal says, if enacted, the loosely defined offense of creating excessive cannabis smoke under the bill and resolution would be considered a Class 3 misdemeanor, punishable by up to 30 days in jail, a maximum of $500 fine, and up to 1 year in prohibition. I'm hearing from some people that, depending on their neighborhood, their situation, they may not be able to have their kids go outside because of the cannabis smoke, they say. But experiencing now what's happened, even in my own neighborhood, it is a pretty frustrating situation, he told the Arizona Daily Star. Goes on to say, you should be responsible neighbors if you're going to smoke pot. It can be a real issue for families, especially with kids. Asked about seeing seemingly double standards, given that no such nuanced offenses exist for smoking cigarettes or cigars on a private property, the senator says. He says, I'll concede. I hadn't thought about that. I'm pretty sure that cannabis smoke has a different impact than, say, other smoke that might make you cough, he says. He goes on to finish off with, I don't want my kids to get high. If someone wants to get high on their own, let them get high on their own. Here you go, Cindy.
I'm sitting here just hooting and laughing at it. That's great. Oh my God. Oh, that is so fucking sorry. That is so freaking hilarious. No, don't want that terrible cannabis smoke that has nothing left in it by the time it gets to your kids. You'd rather have them inhale that toxic cigarette smoke.
Yeah.
It's just going to make you cough while it gives you cancer.
Yeah, that secondhand cigarette smoke, which is proven to cause cancer. We don't make that against the law, but for, the makers of Shatterizer, clowns, it's all in their saying.
We've got a comment here. I have to share this because I live this. I was in the Netherlands. I was in Amsterdam not long ago. In Holland, in the Netherlands, it's everywhere in the air, and that's true.
But yeah, there you go. It's just, and this is the party that's going to legalize cannabis. You can't even have a big toe without risking going to jail. Like, come on.
Yeah.
All right. Just so everybody wants to read that, you can catch it on our Facebook page, Psychedelics Cannabis Education News. It's there, or look it up at Marijuana Moment. All right, that's our stories for today. I think, Cindy, you've got something you want to mention?
Yeah. The Nova Scotia Psychedelics Society is putting on their next social. It will be on February 27th, so a week from tomorrow, from 7 to 9 p.m. We meet at the Halifax Shambhala Centre, which is located at 1084 Tower Road in Halifax, Nova Scotia. So if you are in Halifax or in the area, I invite you to come on down. We offer, we ask everybody to bring a small snack to share or a donation, whatever you can. We set up a table and kind of have a potluck thing going on. It's usually really amazing variety of food, and it's really yummy. And we're gonna, have an open discussion about psychedelics. The topics are, you interested? Come on. It's really about being interested in building a community, coming down, being curious about psychedelics, and we're just gonna open an open forum next Friday to chat about your stories and your curiosities. And anything you might want to share. And I'd really love to see you there. I will be there with a couple other of my board members to host the event. And I'm really excited for this to happen. Yeah, so if you are in Halifax or in the area, come on down. 1084 Tower Road, the Shambhala Centre in Halifax.
And the date again?
February 27th.
All right, good stuff. Another week. Good stuff. And maybe if because you're going away this weekend, if you're back on Monday.
Yeah, well, I leave tomorrow, and I'm back on Wednesday. So yeah, I'll be back for the social.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Anything else?
I don't think so. I won't be here on Monday. Again, I am traveling out to Ontario. I was going to bring my computer and do the show from there, but then I decided to hop on a bus and take a day trip to Niagara.
All right, sounds good. Okay, so I'll be doing it alone on Monday, but we'll still be bringing you cannabis news. It's all psychedelic stuff. All right, that's a report for today. Thanks to our buds at Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, At-Eze.ca, and Limestone City Hydroponics. In closing, I'd like to say thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. You throw some comments at us. We'll let you know, and we appreciate the interaction. Other than that, as I always say, don't forget to educate, medicate, and do not incarcerate.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420. We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.